I noticed it the moment I pulled it from the mailbox, heavier, stiff, stamped with the HOA's logo instead of the utility company's. That alone set off alarms. The HOA never handled electricity. They handled landscaping complaints, parking violations, and passive-aggressive emails about mailbox paint. Inside was a single sheet of paper and a total that made my stomach drop. $5.047 adjusted electrical usage community grid contribution. I read it 3 times, convinced I was missing something obvious. My actual electric bill from the power company averaged around $80 a month. I worked long hours, barely home. No hot tub. No workshop. No reason known for a $5,000 charge. At the bottom in bold, payment due in 10 days. Late fees apply. I marched straight to the HOA office. The board meeting was already in progress. 5 people sat behind folding tables arranged in a smug little semicircle. Linda, the HOA president, looked up like it interrupted something sacred. "You're not on the agenda," she said. "I'm on this bill," I replied, sliding the paper across the table. She didn't even blink. "It's correct. According to who?" "According to our energy consultant," she said. "Your property used disproportionate power." I loved. Actually loved. "I'm barely home." Linda folded her hands. "Your home sits at a critical junction of the neighborhood grid. Shared infrastructure comes with shared costs." That phrase stuck with me. Shared infrastructure. "I want documentation," I said. "Meter readings. Utility statements. Anything that proves this number." She smiled. That thin, practiced HOA smile. "You're free to dispute it in writing. Meanwhile, the balance stands." I left before I said something I couldn't take back. That night, I dug. I pulled my utility records going back 5 years. Flat, consistent usage. No spikes. No anomalies. Then I went deeper, county records, easements, plats. Stuff most homeowners never look at. And that's when I found it. My property wasn't just near the neighborhood's electrical infrastructure. It was the infrastructure. Decades ago, before the HOA existed, my land had housed a primary transformer feeding the entire development. When the neighborhood was built, the developer negotiated an easement, but only for access, not ownership. The transformer, the switchgear, the control cabinet. Still legally tied to my parcel. I stared at the scanned documents, pulse pounding. The HOA didn't control the grid. They were using mine. The next day, I requested a formal hearing. Linda responded within an hour. Request denied. Balance due as stated. Failure to pay will result in penalties and potential lien review. That was the moment I stopped being confused and started being patient. I called an attorney. A quiet one. The kind that listens more than he talks. He reviewed the documents. Then he chuckled. "They really send you this bill?" he asked. "Yes." "And threatened the lien?" "Yes." He paused. "They've been drawing power through equipment they don't own. And now they're trying to charge you for it, Guy. So what happens next?" "That depends," he said. "How badly do you want them to learn?" I looked at the bill again. The arrogance of it, the assumption that it just pay. "I want it clean," I said. "Legal. Documented." "Good," he replied. "Because you're about to have a very interesting evening." The host scheduled their emergency board meeting for Friday night. I knew because they sent out a neighborhood email demanding attendance. Urgent financial matters affecting all residents. Translation: panic. I didn't attend. Instead, I stood in my garage, staring at the steel cabinet mounted along the back wall. Unremarkable to anyone else. Just a locked panel with warning labels and faded inspection tags. The main control point. Earlier that day, my attorney had sent the HOA a certified letter. It cited property law, easement limits, and unauthorized utility usage. It demanded immediate cessation of billing harassment and reimbursement of any improperly assessed fees. They hadn't replied. At 7:30 p.m. my phone buzzed. A neighbor: "Hey, is your power out?" I walked outside. The streetlights were dark. Porches glowed for a moment, then flickered off, one by one, like a wave retreating. House fell into shadow. Somewhere, a car alarm chirped and died. Inside the HOA clubhouse, their meeting went from heated to hysterical in seconds. I didn't see it, but I heard about it later. Phones came out. Flashlights. Shouting. Someone tripped over a chair. Linda demanded answers that no one had. Because the utility company wasn't responsible. And for the first time, neither was I. I hadn't cut power. I had reclaimed control of equipment on my land that was being used without permission. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. Turn it back on, Linda snapped, no greeting. You should read the letter, I said calmly. This is illegal. No, I replied. Billing me for power theft is illegal. Silence. Then, what do you want? I want my bill void. In writing. And I want an audit of every resident's charges related to shared grid costs. You're holding the neighborhood hostage. I smiled, though she couldn't see it. No. I'm just not subsidizing theft anymore. Within an hour, the HOA's attorney called mine. By midnight, a temporary agreement was signed. The bogus charge was removed. A full investigation ordered. Emergency power restored, under a new, clearly defined access agreement. The next week was chaos. Residents demanded explanations. Someone leaked the documents. Turns out the HOA had been padding utility fees for years, funneling money into a vague key infrastructure reserve. Linda resigned on Thursday. By Monday, the board was dissolved pending re-election. And me? My electric bill went back to $30. Sometimes, when I walk the neighborhood at night, I look at the streetlights humming softly above. They shine steady now. Honest. People wave differently these days. With curiosity. With respect. Because they learned something important. You can trade in fines. You can send letters. You can assume compliance. But you should always make sure you actually own the power you think you control.